You're watching Spirit Spotlight.
Hey everybody, this is Austin Sumwitz from WNEM TV5 Sports, and welcome to the Spirit Spotlight, where we zone in on everything Saginaw Spirit hockey. And it was quite the weekend this past week for the Saginaw Spirit. 2 straight games in the I-75 Divide Cup, one at Flint and one here at the Dow Event Center between the Spirit and the Firebirds. Both games were tight matchups, but both games the Spirit ended up losing by just a single goal. And Sunday night especially was a little bit of a controversial one, as the Spirit were able to force the game into overtime with 25 seconds to go and seemingly won the game at overtime before the buzzer sounded. But after an official review, it was determined that the Spirit did not score before the buzzer sounded, so the game went to a shootout, to which Saginaw ended up losing that shootout to Flint to fall 0-3 in the I-75 Divide Cup. Now, Saginaw's got a bad taste in their mouth from this weekend, in particular that game on Sunday, but they've got 3 straight games coming up this weekend to try to right the ship. 2 of them will be here at the Dow Event Center, and then they will close out the weekend with a road trip at Windsor. First up on the docket on Friday night at 7:05, the Saginaw Spirit will host the Erie Otters, the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year, and they are looking to get their first win at home. That's a perfect chance for them to try to get their first home victory. Then on Saturday at 7:05, the Spirit will be hosting the Owen Sound Attack. Saginaw actually handed Owen Sound their first loss of the season in their own barn, so they'll be looking to go 2-0 against the Attack this year. And then once again, closing things out on Sunday, they will be traveling to Windsor to take on the Spitfires at 4:05. Now today I got the chance to talk with Saginaw Spirit defenseman Josh Glavin, who's one of the longest tenured players for this team, and we got to talk about his time here in Saginaw, what he's learned and grown from his first year back in 2022-2023, and then also what he's seen especially out of this young group of guys that have been really trying to make an impression here in the OHL. Well, Josh Glavin, thank you so much for your time joining me here. I know you guys are coming off of a good workout. You've been putting in work on the ice, got done with the workout as well. Just wanted to mention real quickly, just because you're one of the longest tenured guys here on this team, got a lot of really good performances from the young guys. I know a few of them also just got announced for the Central Scouting of being guys to watch out as possible NHL draft guys. So, like, as a guy who's been here for a while, can you real quick speak to me about, like, what you've seen from some of the younger guys just from the early goings of this season?
Yeah, it's exciting. Obviously, a lot of new faces this year. I think it's just more that they're playing on the ice. They're confident. Just from what I've seen over the years, it's nice to see how confident they've come in. They've kind of adjusted pretty quickly to the league, which is nice to see. Obviously, we've embraced all of them as part of our group, and I know we're happy with all of them, and they're already tight as part of our group. But yeah, it's nice to see their confidence, and it is nice for some of those faces how they've quickly helped us out as a group on the ice.
If we can go back to a few years ago, because you joined this squad in the middle of the 22-23 season, can you go back to that time of you kind of getting into the league, getting into the OHL, and like what was that experience like for you, just being one of those young guys all those years ago, and just like how did you kind of adjust to the league and adjust to playing in Saginaw?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, it was something I grew up around the OHL, so it was something obviously my entire life I knew I wanted to do. So obviously, when I first got the opportunity, I was obviously very excited. But when you get here, there's a lot of ups and downs, and you go through it a bit. But it's when I came in, I had a lot of great older guys there to help me along the way. So for me personally, now with the younger guys here, it's for me being able to be one of those guys they can lean on. But yeah, for sure, it makes it a lot easier that I had those guys. But when you first get here, I mean, you go from playing against guys your own age your entire life, and when you're 16, 15 years old and you got to play against 20-year-olds, it feels like you're playing against men. So, I mean, it is a tough transition, but the more and more you're here, the more you get used to it. And obviously, it's quicker when you have older guys to lean on.
And I think over your time here in Saginaw, one thing that's really stood out in your game is your physicality. And coming off of a workout just now, I'm just curious in terms of like how do you really like hone in on your skills and your physicality when you're on the ice, whether it comes to like your workout routine or just what you like really focus in on before games, because it just seems like when you're on the ice with that line, it just feels like you're always a force when you're out there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, with the workouts, it is tougher during the season to keep up with it. Obviously, when you play in this league, it's a 68-game season, so it's a pretty busy schedule. Obviously, in the summertime, there's a lot of off-season training that goes into it. For me personally, when I go out to play the games, I know kind of the player I am and the style I have to play, and I know what I bring to help our team win, and I feel like the physicality part of it is something I do bring to the team that helps us win. So that's just the way I've been. It's been the way I've been my entire life, and I know that it came honestly when I was younger. I saw it as a role I could take on as a younger guy in this team, was to kind of make my mark and kind of gain a little bit more ice time. So for me, it's just something that I kind of built into my game, but I've always been like that. And for me, it's just the role I play, and I know that's how I help our team win.
We'll touch a little bit on this past weekend. You had the doubleheader in the I-75 Divide Cup against the Firebirds. I know Sunday especially was a tough one for you guys. I want to know exactly what Coach said to you guys coming into this week, coming into practice, because a loss like that I know is tough, especially with the way that it went down. But like, how does Coach try to refocus you guys for another busy week that you guys coming up with 3 straight games, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? How does Coach try to refocus you guys after a loss like that?
Yeah, I think honestly part of it's on ourselves too. I mean, it sucked the way it happened, but in this league it's such a quick turnaround. You have another game Friday night, and you got another 3 games to play this weekend. You can't dwell on it. It is a long season. At the end of the day, if you dwell on it, you sit here, it's where you keep in the back of your mind, that's where you start losing even more games. And yeah, I mean, we're trying to keep it upbeat and positive here. We feel like we did play well this weekend. That kind of helps when you did play well, so we have something to build off of. And yeah, I think just keeping it positive around here, keeping the good vibes up, and just knowing that we should get better results this weekend if we keep preparing and just move on.
Lastly, you guys are going to have 2 straight home games. You got first up on the docket Erie, and then you'll have Owen Sound, and then you'll hit the road against Windsor. Just getting those 2 straight home games, being able to try to get that first win at home this year. How big is that opportunity for you guys just to be able to get those 2 teams at home first?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just taking it one day at a time and focusing on our next matchup. But for sure, we love playing here. We definitely will be looking to get our first one at home. But yeah, we love it here. It's our home rink for a reason. We love our fan base, and they make it a lot easier to play here. So really focusing in on Friday night, making sure we get those 2 points, and then moving on to the rest of the weekend will be huge.
Awesome, Josh. Thanks so much for your time. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Josh and the guys are already seeming like they're refocused and ready to go for this upcoming week. 2 straight home games here at the Dow Events Center, and then traveling to Windsor on Sunday to wrap up the weekend. Now, I also got the chance to talk with Director of Communications for the Saginaw Spirit and play-by-play commentator Dylan Clark, and he talked about the wild weekend in the I-75 Divide Cup that we had this past weekend and what fans can expect for these next 2 home games here at the Dow Events Center. Well, Dylan, I mean, guys are coming off of quite the wild weekend, and they've got another week ahead of them. 3 straight games this upcoming weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 2 games at home, and then 1 on the road at Windsor. I mean, first, just really quickly touching on this past Sunday. I know it was one that I'm sure fans are a little bit hung up on, but I know the team is kind of like immediately pushed it back and like moving forward. So like, what's been the response that you've seen from the guys in practice just after everything that took place on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, these guys have been through a lot. They know that what's done is done, and they just got to keep going. And I don't know, maybe long term it ends up being something they can turn into a positive. At the end of the day, they still got a point out of that game. Tied things up. Dimas Jilkin with a late equalizer, and this team's played the second most overtime hockey out of anybody in the league. So take that for what it's worth. You take the points and you move on. I mean, from a fan standpoint, Flint and Saginaw, it's never boring.
We just spoke with Josh Glavin earlier, and I mean, talk about a guy who wants to play physically and throw his body around. I mean, talk to me about a guy like him, been here now coming up on 4 years, and he's just really been one of those leaders of this squad, really taking the young guys and really helping them through the landscape of the OHL. What have you kind of seen just from his performance and just the way that he's kind of led by example, it feels like, with the squad?
No, I think lead by example is a good way to put it. You know, Josh is a guy that his impact might not show up on your simple stat sheet or anything like that. Now, granted, he has taken, I think, a lot of strides as far as the offensive upside of his game as a defenseman, but I think just the overwhelming, the leadership and the older guy presence that he brings. You know, he and I were laughing at the beginning of the year. This is his 4th year in the league, and the rookies sit up at the front of the bus. The staff sits up at the front of the bus too. So his first year, he and I were sitting pretty close to one another, and I laughed. Now I said, "Oh, you're a back of the bus guy now. How far we've come." But he's such a mentor to these younger guys because he knows. He knows what it's like to be a 16-year-old rookie in this league. He knows that it can be a big change and a big challenge sometimes. He's right there helping those guys where they need it and pushing them where they need it as well. So I think it's valuable that you have somebody that can do both of those things. And, what a pro Josh Glavin's turned into, and what a remarkable young man.
Speaking just once again on this weekend, I know fans may be a little bit frustrated, but the games were close, and that's been the case with the entire I-75 Divide Cup, and the team has fought the entire time as well. I mean, can you talk to me about just the level of production you've seen from the guys to be able to have these tightly fought games and how that can help them coming up this weekend?
Yeah, like I said, played the 2nd most overtime games out of anybody in the league to this point in the year. So part of it's luck. I mean, at some point the coin's going to flip your way. It just didn't on Sunday evening. 1-goal game in Flint the night before. So it's been, I think everybody really expected it to be a tight series to two teams that are going through maybe a transition period and looking to see what kind of young players, what kind of offense those young players can provide. I think that we saw some really high quality hockey, and the best part of it is it's an 8-game season series. We're 3 games into it right now. We've seen some 1-goal contests, and I don't want to say everything because as soon as you think you've seen everything in this game, it has a way of proving you wrong. But we get to see 5 more matchups between Saginaw and Flint, and 1 more at the end of the year, or at the end of the month, I should say. October the 30th, we got Flint at home. 2 home games this weekend too. The Erie Otters, and you want to talk about rivalries, I don't think anybody's feeling too good after that, the way the playoff series ended last spring. I think a lot of people around here were hoping and expecting a longer spring, and the Otters cut that short. So maybe an opportunity to repay the favor a little bit on Friday night, and then we got Owen Sound on Saturday.
And again, those 2 straight home games, another chance for fans to come out and see the Spirit in action. Like, what can fans expect for those games specifically in terms of what the team's doing and what the organization's doing for the fans in attendance?
Yeah, like I said, a couple good rivalries coming up in Erie and Owen Sound. I've already gone toe-to-toe and beaten Owen Sound in their building once, so exciting to see that matchup shift here. Fridays are 989 Connect night, just kind of tying in the local aspect of it. There's so many different communities that kind of make up our region right now, and the fan base here in Saginaw. So Bay City, Midland, Saginaw as well. Just wearing those specialty warm-up jerseys as kind of a tip of the cap there. And on Saturday we'll have our Spirit Warriors game out, the Disabled Veterans Hockey Group. Always great to work with them. They're having their game here at 4 o'clock, so people can come out and see that, and then they'll be around for our game as well against Owen Sound.
We'll be excited to see what the Spirit do this upcoming weekend. 2 games at home, and then the road trip to Windsor. Dylan, thanks so much for your time, and good luck to the Spirit.
Thank you.
Should be an exciting time here at the Dow Event Center as Saginaw looks for their first win of the season at home. The Spirit hosts, of course, the Erie Otters first on Friday night at 7 o'clock, and then they have the Owen Sound Attack on Saturday night at 7 o'clock before they finish out the weekend against the Spitfires in Windsor at 4:05. If you're looking to come out to the game in person, tickets are available at SaginawSpirit.com. That's going to wrap things up for the Spirit Spotlight. Reporting for WNEM TV5 Sports, I'm Austin Sumowitz. Go Spirit.